Hello, welcome back to my channel and another episode of Homebrew Mythic Climb. It's day number 8, we made it to Plat. I'm Ricky, let's dive right in. For those of you just tuning in, I am piloting my friend's deck that he homebrewed last season. He made it all the way to Mythic, so I am trying to do the same this season. So we have 3 creatures and a bunch of lands. Seems like we can keep this. Not ideal because we would like to see 2 creatures and 1 support card at least. But having at least 2 creatures is pretty good for our deck. So we draw a land, not what we want to see, but we do have a Temple of Silence that will allow us to scry. We see a Baneslayer Angel, which is excellent because we already have 5 lands in our hand. It's a good card to ramp into. Our opponent looks like Amavi51 looks like they're playing some sort of control, Yorion control. So with that in mind, I think I definitely want my Hushbringer to stay alive, so I will cast my Null Priest first. It will probably die to a Glass Casket or Banishing Light, but my opponent does not make that choice, so let us Temple of Silence for the scry first, give ourselves a little bit more information. We do not want another land. So let us attack here and see what happens. Our opponent does bounce it back into our hand, at which point we will just cast it right back. Another land, so we are at 49, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 49, 7. I think that is not ideal. But same kind of plan, we will play a land. We will go for the Luminarch Aspirant here because the it only triggers before combat. So our opponent does cancel that, so we will play the Hushbringer instead and then swing for 2. So now we are pretty susceptible to Shatter the Sky if my opponent does have it, but it appears okay. So what I do here is, because I have so much mana, I'm not afraid of actually casting Baneslayer Angel into a board wipe because we can just kick it back next turn with Null Priest. So I will just play my planes. I will I guess if I swing in, he will just block with the Simulacrum, so I think I'm just left with attacking with the Hushbringer and then casting my Baneslayer Angel. If I attack with my Null Priest and he just double blocked with the Null Priest, the best I can do is kill his Solemn Simulacrum, and that's not a good deal for me because he gets to draw a card when it dies, which is exactly what a control deck wants to do. And when we are playing an aggro deck, that is not what we want to see. So we have a pretty excellent trade potential here. We both do have lifelink, unfortunately, so the best I can do here is probably drop a land, drop my Selfless Savior, and then we are hoping to draw a kill spell to get rid of Dreamtrawler. We do have to remember the Dreamtrawler has a discarded card. It gains hexproof until end of turn, so let's see how this goes. If I attack, he probably won't block. Then when he attacks with Dreamtrawler, he'll get to draw an extra card. So I think we want to dissuade him from drawing an extra card, so we will just leave it to be. We do have First Strike, so it's a pretty good deterrent against the Dreamtrawler. It gets hexproof, not indestructible, so it's pretty good news for us. Fortunately, we only see another Selfless Savior, and not in a card that we can start some business with. However, there's kind of no point in casting it. So actually there is. In case they have an instant speed removal or anything, let's get the Selfless Savior out there so we can maybe use the ability twice on the stack. Our opponent obviously casts his Brazen Borrower. It's basically free with that much mana open. Seagate Restoration, he gets to draw a whole bunch of cards, which is not good news for us because we want to draw cards as well. So yeah, definitely with cards like that in his deck, we definitely don't want to be attacking our Baneslayer Angel until we are way larger than the Dreamtrawler. We do see a Lurrus here, but that doesn't really help us because nothing we have on board can get past the Dreamtrawler. So as strong as our board position seems at the moment, it is not still 100%. However, with the Lurrus, we get to bring back our Luminarch Aspirant, and now we can begin to grow our Hushbringer. So we want our Hushbringer to get big enough that it becomes a threat against the Dreamtrawler, and then we can start swinging in with both creatures. Or just swinging with the Hushbringer. That is also another option. Still a little bit concerned. Our opponent is drawing cards like crazy. So he's bound to draw an answer sooner or later. If he has 2 kill spells or something like that, 2 exile cards, I'm pretty screwed because my Selfless Savior can't prevent things from being exiled. Ooh, I do have a Snapdax now. So that was another reason to have put it on the Hushbringer. And put the 1/1 counters on the Hushbringer. So what can we do here? We can have Menace double strike. Seems like that could be pretty good. That Dreamtrawler is basically never going to die, so we do need to attack past it. We can kill the Brazen Borrower, so it can't attack. It can't block the air. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mutate this onto my Hushbringer. Spread our offensive line a little bit. So we put it over it. It becomes massive. We blow up his Brazen Borrower so that it can't block. Now, at the beginning of our combat, we throw a counter on Snapdax. It is now massive and a huge threat. We will attack with the Snapdax and see how our opponent responds. We feel pretty safe because we have a bunch of Selfless Saviors that can make Snapdax indestructible. So we can just go ahead and do this. It does have double strike, so very, very scary. Our opponent has a complete hand full of tricks, though. He did cast 2 of Seagate Restoration. He cast Banishing Light, probably on our Lurrus, or our Luminarch Aspirant, one or the other. Ooh, actually, what? Oh, I forgot, you can completely just remove a creature like that. Okay, so our Snapdax goes away, unfortunately. Our deck does not have any way to get rid of enchantments, so both of those cards will be stuck there forever, unfortunately. And we see a Glass Casket, either for Lurrus or Luminarch Aspirant. It's for Lurrus, so nothing we can do about that. Another Glass Casket is coming in, probably for our Luminarch Aspirant. Yep, nothing I can do against that either. And it's our turn. So we have a Speaker of the Heavens, which is excellent. We can start pulling out tons and tons of 4/4 flying angels as long as it survives long enough. There's still no point in attacking because we will just be letting our opponent draw more cards. So we will pass the turn. Looks like our opponent drew a land, not much help to him unless he's looking for a combo that requires 10 mana. Mavi 51. Area 51? Area 52? Our turn, nothing we can do against that. So we can cast our Luminarch Aspirant. Nothing much else for us to do here. It's probably going to get countered if he has a counter spell. But we do have plenty of mana. If it's another Whirlwind Denial, it's Sublime Epiphany, which is not good because that means our angel gets bounced or copied. He copies his Dreamtrawler. We can still cast our Dreamtrawler back. It's probably going to get countered now. If it gets countered, we now lose. But that's how it goes against control decks that are allowed to sit on a million turns and lands. And there's not much we can do against the Dreamtrawlers from now on. We don't have enough offense to threaten a return Air Force just yet, so he'll probably just gain a whole bunch of life here this turn. Midnight Clock. Next turn I do get to kick the Null Priest and get our Baneslayer Angel back, unless of course it gets countered. Our opponent gets to attack and deals 12 damage to us. Not much we can do about that. We can use Selfless Savior to block with the Angel, but that just nets us one less dog for 6 damage. So I don't think that would make too much of a difference. Our opponent has another Solemn Simulacrum, which is not good because our opponent plays a control deck, and again, control decks love having way too much mana. Speaker of the Heavens is quite excellent. I will kick the Null Priest. And we do get our Baneslayer Angel back. And then we can cast a second Speaker of the Heavens. Or actually, I'll activate my ability first, just in case. My opponent has some nasty tricks up his sleeve. We'll cast the second Speaker of the Heavens. And I believe I can attack for 4 here, but let's hold out over here and let's just to see what my opponent does. I think it's a mistake not attacking here because technically I should be able to throw in an attack, but luckily my opponent does return Baneslayer Angel. That does signal to me he has more counterspells in his hand, so he's not too concerned about it, unfortunately. However, we do have 2 Baneslayer Angels and we can now block. Emeria's Call. All of his creatures gain indestructible. My opponent draws a whole bunch of cards. So we want to stay above 27 life here. So this turn is the turn where I will have to block with both my angels and sacrifice both my dogs. Because we do want to keep them alive. And now that because we're still above 27, we should be able to pump out two more angels next turn and have a bit of a fighting chance. So here we are, we pump out 2 more angels. And as we cast Baneslayer Angel, it's almost definitely going to get countered. It doesn't. Okay, so that gives us a little bit more of a fighting chance here. Obviously, we don't want to attack because now we are on the back foot. But let's see where we go with this. So our opponent doesn't look like is going to ever deck out because the Midnight Clock is in play. It just means his entire graveyard will end up back into his hand. So it is to our opponent's advantage, unfortunately, to keep this game going as long as possible. We are basically never going to be able to kill the Dreamtrawler. So our opponent probably has some sort of pump spell, but I don't know what the deal is, so I will have to just basically triple block all of this and hope for the best. Okay, so the first one, gets indestructible. Oh, they all have indestructible. Oh, because he cast Emeria's Call. So unfortunately, I think I made a miscalculation there. Whoops! I forgot. Emeria's Call gives your creatures indestructible, so I should not have blocked with my Baneslayer Angel there. However, we do get to stay above the water, and we can cast a bunch more angels here. We have a Heartless Act here. We can blow up one of the angel tokens, so hopefully we can see something good happen there. And we definitely still want to stay above 27 life so that we can continue to get tokens out. That was a huge misplay though on my part. I shouldn't have sacrificed my Baneslayer Angel there. Like I said, completely forgot about the indestructible from Emeria's Call. Opponent draws a bunch more cards. Midnight Clock activates at 12. Our opponent attacks with a whole bunch of cards, or creatures, I should say. So what we want to do is double block the Dreamtrawlers, block an angel, and then we can kill an angel, and I believe that's 8 damage. That doesn't quite put us back at 20 something, but our Null Priest should be able to attack next turn to gain our 4 life back. So as long as I Heartless Act one of these angels, I should be okay for next turn in terms of getting the Speaker of the Heavens out. Sharp Typhoon, okay. Allows him to draw a card. Not sure why he's not electing to hard cast that. He probably has a different, another copy of it. Sublime Epiphany will return one of those to my hand. So unfortunately he'll just get another Dreamtrawler out. There's nothing much I can do about that. I will have to destroy one of the angels, like I mentioned. And it gets countered, of course. So now things are looking very dire. I don't think I have enough life to get back to activating more angels. Ooh, I completely forgot about the simulacrums as well. Ooh, that might have made the difference. Actually it wouldn't have, because the most I could have gotten was 2 angels anyway, so I would definitely have still died. It's a land, that's not going to do it. Offer the GG and concede. Wow, that was quite an exciting game. I mean, we lost, but we didn't flood out or anything. Our opponent just had the better game. On to the next one. Well, back to our little wait. The more I do this, the more I think we should name this wait a little bit. I don't know what to call it just yet. If you have an idea of what I should name my wait, maybe you should put it in the comments. Our opponent is called Twitch.tv. Wicked is my name. That's pretty funny. Ooh, our hand is pretty awful. I believe I should mulligan this. And this is much more, looking much better. So let's return our Baneslayer Angel and stick with what we have here and hope it's good enough. We're against red deck wins apparently. That's not good because both my creatures will just be shocked. We might as well play Castle Lockdwayne because we don't have any first turn plays. Robber of the Rich is excellent, particularly because my opponent looks like he took a mulligan. Unless I'm just counting wrong. Here we are, Hushbringer, come out. Another Robber of the Rich. Our opponent attacks with both robbers. Unfortunately, we just have to let those go. He does get a kill spell, so that kind of sucks. Our opponent basically robbed the best spell possible from our deck, considering his mana situation. So, Temple of Silence will go in. Ooh, we do see a Speaker of the Heavens, which is great. We'll cast another Hushbringer here, I suppose. Oh, our opponent will end up getting Speaker of the Heavens. That is not good, unless he doesn't cast a spell first. I completely forgot about the robbers. Oh, but apparently so does my opponent. I do want to block the Fervent Champion here. If he has a spell, he will cast it. That would have happened anyway, I suppose. So now we can cast Speaker of the Heavens and equip Maul of the Skyclaves onto it. Gives ourselves a fighting chance here. Our opponent does have a kill spell, and that's the end. So our opponent was playing red deck wins and pretty much got the perfect draw, so that is what happens. Nothing to be sad about there. That's how that deck works when it's going. Back to our lifts. Oh wow, that was quick. One Trick Pony. Interesting. I didn't think you could be a one trick pony in Magic cards. All right. We are still going second. Much more playable though, so we'll keep this. Depending on what colors he shows, I think we might actually want to start with Luminarch Aspirant this time around, just to bait out some kill spells. Considering we have 2 copies of it, I believe we're going to end up needing our Hushbringer to finish for us. Our opponent is kind of behind. Ooh, with the Lurrus in play. I think I will go with the Luminarch Aspirant and see how that goes. It might get shocked here. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Or Bone Crusher Giant here. But my thinking here is if my Luminarch Aspirant survives, I can attach Maul of the Skyclaves on it, and then it will survive as a huge flyer. But of course it does not, because our opponent is playing red, so that's no surprise. We'll play the Plains, we'll play our No Priest of Oblivion, which is another excellent target for counters and Maul of the Skyclaves. Our opponent hits Ironcrag Feet into Chandra, so that's not good. Our opponent will just kill off our Aspirant and probably run amok here, but we do have 2 Luminarch Aspirants, so I think that does help us a lot. I will play that as a mountain in case we draw Snapdax. It looks like we might have some trouble making it stay alive. 2 damage to any target, so unfortunately we will have to stack counters onto 1 Luminarch just to get it to survive. The Chandra. But he probably just needs to play another Royal Eruption, and then Chandra the other one. Double Shock and the Chandra, of course. Story of my life. We do draw another land, so that does give us some hope. We can play Hushbringer, and we play Maul of the Skyclaves onto the Hushbringer. It is a 3/4, it does survive the Chandra. And then next turn we can play Lurrus, and hopefully get some creatures back. So our opponent casts Brash Taunter, and is now completely cardless in his hand. So I think we still have a potential to win here. Like I said, we're pretty far away, so same game plan. We will have the Lurrus come in. We will have the Luminarch come in. We'll start giving our Hushbringer tokens, and we will attack the Chandra for 4. We can't afford to let that survive for too long. Our Lurrus will get demolished here. It's the only sane target to do. Unless our opponent drew another solution, of course. Yep. The Lurrus dies. Our opponent is taunting our Aspirant. Deals 1 damage to us. Doesn't make too much of a difference. We do have the Temple of Silence to look for an answer. Hopefully we don't see a land. We see a Baneslayer Angel, which is excellent. And here we don't need to cast Speaker of the Heavens because that's not going to help us. We will attack the Chandra because we need to get that off the board. If our opponent hits us with Brash Taunter, it's actually pretty interesting because we do have lifelink and it is a fight. We will end up. I will end up with a lifelink, so that's pretty sweet. Scorching Dragonfire, unfortunately for us. So our opponent is just drawing extremely well, unluckily for us. We do have the Baneslayer Angel, but that's not going to help if it doesn't survive. And again, the Brash Taunter can't really fight our Baneslayer Angels because it has lifelink. Opponent draws a land, finally. Stops him in his tracks a little bit. Another Scorching Dragonfire? Are you kidding me? Another Chandra. Okay, so he's going to fight it with the Brash Taunter then. Like I said, our opponent does not choose to do that, so he drew a bunch of cards that doesn't help him. So what we have to do now is equip our Maul of the Skyclaves onto our Baneslayer Angel, and we will need to kill the Chandra. So now our opponent is just drawing for his life. We will play the pathway for black source, and we still won't keep Speaker of the Heavens because the Speaker of the Heavens can still die instantly to the Brash Taunter. Unfortunately. Our opponent does cast Solemn Simulacrum. Not really an issue for us. Another Maul of the Skyclaves is excellent. We still can't activate this twice, so if I play this, it will pretty much just instantly die. So with that in mind, I might as well cast Maul of the Skyclaves again onto the Baneslayer Angel, and then attack for 9. Our opponent fights his own creature to deal 2 damage to us. That is fine with me. However, because I don't have enough mana, I can't play Speaker of the Heavens and attach something, and so unfortunately our opponent gave us a window that we weren't able to take advantage of. And our opponent concedes because he finally ran out of gas. Whew. Got a little bit lucky there. I suppose he did flood a little bit, but depending on his deck, maybe that's just how many lands he runs. Game 3, no mulligan. We won this one. Not a free game. Plat 4, Pip 3. So, for those of you wondering what I'm muttering under my breath, down in the description you will find a Google Sheets where I keep track of some stats, such as whether or not I got a free win, whether or not I mulliganed for a game, and whether or not I got mana screwed or mana flooded. And of course, if you want win rate, etc., and see my overall progress in this series, you can check out my untapped.gg, which is also in the description. So this hand, we have learned, is not good because we are always hoping for at least 2 creatures. Our opponent is playing a Lurrus deck, so almost definitely has kill spells, which means a mulligan is very obvious here. And unfortunately, we don't draw into a hand with 2 creatures, so the best we can hope for is to bin a land and hope we draw some answers. Not looking good so far. Also, if you're looking to skip to a specific match or specific game, you can find timestamps also in the description. While you're down there, you might as well like and or subscribe. If you're on YouTube, of course. I'm thinking YouTube. Right now you're on Twitch. So if you want to follow me on Twitch, I wouldn't mind that as well. I wouldn't mind that either. We definitely need a black source, so we'll do that. We'll cast the Speaker of the Heavens. We'll attack with the Doge. So it looks like our opponent is running some sort of rogues with the mere colors here. Yep, it's a Ruined Crab. Mill some of our cards. Our turn. Ooh, we do have another Speaker of the Heavens. So let's see what happens if we attack here. See if our opponent has a blocker. Our opponent does have a blocker. So yeah, I guess we'll let him mill 2 cards. Unfortunately, it is 2 playable cards. Fortunately, it is not a land. Well, but the Ruined Crab already ruined all of our lands, apparently. So, I do want it to survive. If he blocks the Savior, we lose the Savior. If he blocks the Speaker of the Heavens, we'll lose the Savior anyway. We lose the Savior, we can play Speaker of the Heavens. So let's see. I think that might be worth it to lose myself a Savior here. Actually, our opponent does nothing, so I am fine with that. That way we can play Speaker of the Heavens here and kill the blocker here. That might have been a mistake if my opponent has more Ruined Crabs in his hand, or if he has a handful of Fabled Passages, then that would have been a mistake. But since I'm on the offensive, I want to stay on the offensive and stick with that plan. We have a Lurrus Bind. It is our turn. We can play a land, and the same idea, we can just attack here and see if our opponent plays anything. Our opponent does not play anything, so I don't want to risk getting my Maul of the Skyclaves countered, so I will just end my turn. Opponent hits the 4th land, but does luckily enough is not a Fabled Passage. Our opponent tries to gain control of our creature. Okay, I'm not too concerned about that. It is our turn. I'm not concerned about it because without the counterspell, I can just attach Maul of the Skyclaves onto Speaker of the Heavens and attack in the sky instead. And I can still protect it a little bit with Selfless Savior. And because it has Vigilance, I can still block his Speaker of the Heavens. However, if my opponent gains control of it this turn, it will be a pretty bad news bears for us. My opponent is thinking about it. It's our turn. We do have a land. We'll put a second black source here. And then let's see if we get to attack with our Speaker. If we get to attack with our Speaker, we also get to make an Angel. So fortunately, it does go through. And now we get to activate and create a 4/4 Angel. These are instants, so I'd rather cast them on my opponent's turn. So let's see what happens. My opponent will probably cast Lurrus. My opponent has Drown in the Lock, so that's fine with me. I will sacrifice my Selfless Savior to protect it. I think that is worth it. Because with that in play, we can churn out more Angels. Our opponent spends mana cycling for an answer. My opponent finds Fabled Passage, but that does give him more mana. And mills us down to half of our deck. Looking a little bit dicey here. If our opponent has a kill spell here, that would be unfortunate, but he does not. He has Frantic Inventory. So our opponent attacks with Speaker of the Heavens, probably hoping for the that 1 life gain. We'll block that. That's not a problem. Ooh! We draw the Snapdax, but we don't have enough mana for it. So, unfortunately, that's where we're at. We will attack with both creatures. And pump out another Angel. And end our turn. So we're still sitting pretty safe with our double Heartless Act. And our opponent does not draw what he needs, or they need, she needs, and concedes. Excellent. Game 4. We mulliganed here, I believe. Did I mulligan here? I'll have to check that. Didn't have any mana issues, really. We didn't... Oh, we did win. Not free. Plat 4 at 4 pips. Game is certainly a lot more fun when you're not constantly oppressed by horrendous mana screw or mana flood. Ooh, our opponent is going first, unfortunately. However, our hand is looking decent. We have plenty of creatures to play and a Maul of the Skyclaves to back it up. Back up anything that survives. Wish we were going first, though. We'll keep it. Like we said, our opponent casts red into the 3 Shockhound. Plains, Selfless Savior, are a silly doge. Look at him go, a derping along. Hellhound turns all of your lands into shocks because most of the time you don't want to block that. There goes the Selfless Savior. Is he going to shock it? Yes, he does cast Bone Crusher Giants on it. That is not good news for us. We will cast a Hushbringer because we have Hushbringers to spare here. We are hoping for a land. Our opponent casts Bone Crusher Giants. It is quite a large creature. Ooh, we do draw a land, which is great. That will allow us to cast Null Priest, as well as the Speaker of the Heavens. And we get to attack for 1. Our opponent is coming out real strong with a lot of aggressive damage. He probably has Embercleave here, so we basically lost anyway. We can't block any of it. We can't survive an Embercleave, so nope, just a Rimrock Knight apparently. We are at 8 life, which is not good. Opponent has Rimrock. So here we definitely do want to attack with Speaker of the Heavens. And it will become a 3/3 first strike, so I think our best bet here is to stick a Maul of the Skyclaves onto our Speaker of the Heavens. And, yeah, I think I'll have to attack with everything to gain some life. However, if he does kill my Speaker of the Heavens, it's an instant loss. But I really don't want to be blocking with anything, so I'll take the risk and just gain the life now. Chances are, like, if he doesn't drop a land, of course he does. That wouldn't be 2 damage. So our opponent has a whole bunch of stuff. We will block the Rimrock Knight because even if he Embercleaves it, we will be able to kill it. If he Embercleaves the Bone Crusher Giant, we block Bone Crusher Giant, our Speaker of the Heavens will simply die, so we don't want that. So we are expecting an Embercleave here onto his Rimrock. Our opponent does not have Embercleave. Very interesting. So he just donated some life to me with that, which is good news for us. Our opponent does have a second Bone Crusher Giant for our little flyer, and he plays the Bone Crusher Giant. So here we are. We're still a little bit mana strapped. What we can do is All of the Skyclaves make this 5. I think that's really hard for him to deal with, and the chances of him getting another land to get damage on a Coom Hellhound is low. So we'll go with this, and we can still attack with the No Priest. So I feel pretty safe here. Oh, so our opponent does draw a land, but he does not have Embercleave, so he has to concede. So the only card our opponent could have won with there was Embercleave, and he did not draw. Did not mulligan. Didn't have mana issues. We won this one. It was not free. Plat for 5 pips. Alright! That puts us on a 3-game winning streak. 3-game winning streak. So now we are playing until we are losing, regardless of whether or not we win another one for the 4th daily win. I'm excited. Are you excited? Hype, hype, hype. Check out this weight. Jack will survive. Oh no. That seems like a pretty serious threat. I hope Jack will not survive, so we will win. We see double Lurrus, not something we want to see, but we do have playables. So I guess we'll have to just hope to draw into something nice. Against green, but an early play, so not as lucky as we were hoping. Selfless Savior with Lurrus is a good combo to stall, of course. If we can get it to survive. It is Gruul. Our opponent already has Bone Crusher Giant for it, but that's okay. We have double Lurrus in our hand. We are drawing lands, which is fine for now, as long as we don't draw any more lands afterwards. Lovestruck Beast hits the board. Oh, we are drawing more lands. 56, I think, is still not too bad. What I can do is play a land, play the Lurrus, and just attack for 1, I suppose. Jack will survive. If it's Jack on Titanic, I can guarantee you he does not survive. Jack just, unfortunately, does not survive the Titanic ordeal. Oh, unfortunately for our opponent, we do have a Luminarch Aspirant and... Oh, see? You see how that auto cast would have messed us up if we were trying to recast our Selfless Savior from the graveyard. So always check the Lurrus cast. Always check. We do see the Lurrus. We do see the Selfless Savior. And we get to attack for 1 again. So now we have a recursion combo going. It will make life very difficult for our opponent. If he has Embercleave, that is not good news for me. My opponent attacks with Lovestruck Beast. I suppose I will sacrifice Selfless Savior to make my Lurrus indestructible first, in case he tries to kill my Lurrus right now. And now that it has indestructible, he casts Embercleave onto it, which is fine, but I can still block it, and I will still gain 3 life. We draw yet another land, so unfortunately, hopefully it's our only mana screw of the day. We are at 48-7. Actually, at 48-7, I think 48-7 I think is reasonable. So 48-7, I mean by 48 cards left in my deck, and I have managed to draw 7 lands, which is not ideal, obviously. Selfless Savior. Luminarch Aspirant. We will play another land. Let's flex the white here, and Luminarch Aspirant. Where do we want to put the counter? I think we will put the counter on the Lurrus, and then we'll attack with the Hushbringer. If our opponent has any sort of pump spell, we will lose. But Lovestruck Beast with Ember Cleave is not something... Oh, I believe that would do it. Oh, no, that just gives him more tokens, which I think is a little bit fine. That will have reach, I am guessing. Yes, yep, it has reach. So that will prevent us from gaining life with our Hushbringer, and it will protect the Vivian. So here again, we will have to block and sacrifice our dog to protect the Lurrus. Unfortunately, I don't think that leaves us with enough life to survive for next turn. So, especially if we just keep drawing more lands, 47, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 47, 8, I believe is an event. So we recast our Selfless Savior. We put our 1/1 token on the Lurrus, and we pass the turn. So all our opponent needs to do really is just attack with everything, and then we will lose. However, we are flexing tons of open mana, so if our opponent is a little bit shy, he might not call it. We might still have a chance. And again, if our opponent has any sort of pump spell, we will instantly lose. I'm curious why he's not playing his Bonecrusher Giants first, because if you play Bonecrusher Giants, you will get to draw more cards, and I suppose he thinks maybe the Mammoth is good enough for the win, or he has 2 Fabled Passages in his hand. But typically, I think I would personally prefer to play Bonecrusher Giant just to draw that card. Brushfire Elemental will help him out. Fabled Passage, like I said, I called it. That's okay though, the Mammoth can't attack just yet. And here we are. So we... 12 damage is going to go through anyway, and I don't think we can gain enough life, so we will have to block with other creatures. Pass to blockers. What we have to do is block the Lovestruck Beast to prevent 4 damage. Okay, we can block that to prevent 1 damage. We can block the Brushfire because it will... Oh, haste? Oh, can't be blocked with power of 2 or less. Yeah, so then that's the end of that, because we can block this, but the beast will hit us for 12, and there's nothing we can do about that, especially because it has first strike. I believe that is the end of that for us, because we can't block that creature. We can block that. just in case I did my math wrong, we will let this combat play out, but I'm pretty sure I am dead. First strike hits, and then the rest of the combat hits, and yep, we are at -3 because we couldn't block that creature. I might have done the math incorrectly there, but with the trample double strike, I might have to take a look at that later. Don't think I made a mistake, but nonetheless, sometimes that is what happens when you mana flood. Our opponent is Mauricio. I'm trying to think of whether or not I have met a person named Mauricio in person. I think I might have. Our opponent is going first again. Suppose we can keep this hand. We don't have any turn 1 plays, unfortunately. We are strapped for white mana. Ooh, we do draw white mana, which is excellent, so we can start with the Selfless Savior. Does our opponent have Shock? It would be extremely efficient for him, especially if it's Spikefield Hazard. Wow. Our opponent's so lucky. Sharknado control again, perhaps? Cathartic Reunion is looking like Sharknado. Ooh, we do have Lurrus, but that doesn't help us. I suppose we will cast our Hushbringer instead, so we can hopefully start gaining some life next turn. Of course, it's more than likely going to get shocked here. I wouldn't be unsurprised if this got shocked right here. Our opponent lets it go. We can play a Temple of Silence to look at the next card. Fabled Passage, we do need a land, so we will keep that, thank you very much. We can attack with the Hushbringer. That gets the damage we want. I suppose I will cast the Aspirant here, just to see which one of these creatures they'll kill. Or of course they can have Cinderclasm. Frantic Inventory is the choice. So it seems like they might be running Sharknado with the Experimental Overload. We'll just have to see what their game plan is. It is a little bit scary, not knowing what we're running into at the moment. Black. Let's get one more black source, I suppose. Although we do have a lot more white. No, let's get a black source. I think that's fine. We'll go for a second Luminarch Aspirant here. See what happens. We will stack up on our Hushbringer. Hopefully, it survives this. If it doesn't, we will be pretty sad here. This is pretty greedy. Yep, because it will probably just die. Unfortunately, that's what happened. We can still attack for 1 though, which is good. Frantic Inventory to draw more cards. Not good news for us. However, we did get to play the Speaker of the Heavens. And if any of these die, hopefully we'll draw a land and we can Lurrus, cast Lurrus, and then get something else back into play. Storm's Wrath, like I said. Temple of Silence. Another land, not what we want. We can play the Lurrus. And we can get our Speaker of the Heavens back. Scorching Dragonfire onto our Lurrus, unfortunately. Bone Crusher Giant to our face. We draw another land. Not what we want to see, but so far our opponent has just drawn exactly what they needed. So, such as it is, we can play the land. We will kill the Bone Crusher Giant. And then we'll continue our attack. Not looking good, not looking good. Our opponent casts Double Vision, a very janky spell. And of course, we draw another land. I think 44-7 is pretty reasonable though, so I don't think I can complain about that. Deck is just decided to give up on life and not let us cast what we want. Our opponent draws a million cards from the deck. And of course, kills our soul creature. So unless we draw Baneslayer Angel here, I think we lose. Even if we drew a Baneslayer, actually, because he has so much spell copy ability, I don't think it would matter. So we draw another land. 43-8. It's actually slightly worse than that, I suppose, because we have Fabled Passage. So really this is 40-45. We had 2 Fabled Passages, so I think that's 45-8, and this is 46-7 actually. We see a Lurrus, but it's too late because our opponent has a massive creature already. Draw that many cards, we need discard cards. I don't think either of these creatures will really help us survive. So I suppose I'll give the counter to Lurrus, so it can survive blocking the Seagate. But of course, with the Double Vision in play, basically he'll just cast one spell and both my creatures will die. Or he flings his gigantic Riel at my face. Alright, so I think that's another flood. Didn't mulligan, we lost this one. Not a free game. Plat 4, back at 3 pips. Honestly wish our deck would just stop flooding randomly. Our opponent, Chronic. Horrible land base, barely playable cards, very risky, and our opponent's going first. Why do we keep going? I feel like we always, or tonight we've been going second a lot. Let's see. Maybe I should keep track of whether or not I'm going first or second from now on. Let's see. I feel like this is too risky to keep. So let's take a mulligan. Much better. We will return a land. I'm thinking Castle Lockdwayne because we don't have a swamp, so we probably aren't looking to wait for a tapped land. So I think I'm happy with that. Although if we have Castle Lockdwayne, then we are less likely to get cards stuck, so maybe the correct play is to put the planes back. Let's do that. Let's stick with the Castle Locthwain and hope for the best. Opponent is also thinking. Our opponent is going first. I'm in a pretty good mood today. We had Chinese sausage for dinner. It's a dish that I haven't had in a while, and I have forgotten how good it tastes. I got to cook it in our rice cooker like I usually do at home. Or, well, yes, this is my home. I mean, where I grew up in Toronto. That is what I meant to say. So we do want the no priest getting in here. Fortunately, we can't attack, and we might get bitten now for not returning the Castle Locthwain. I should have kept to my instincts and returned Castle Locthwain to our library. Skyclave Apparition gets rid of our priest, which is fine with me. We do not draw a land, unfortunately, so we are stuck just attacking with this and passing. So now our deck is going in the opposite direction. Ooh, we do draw a fourth land. Most excellent, most excellent. No point going wide, so let's go with Maul of the Skyclaves. Attaching it to here, flying first strike, and lifelink. Pretty big, pretty big. If we draw one more land next turn, we can mutate the Snapdax on it. It does need to be a white source, unfortunately. So if we draw a white source, we can play Baneslayer and we can play Snapdax. If my opponent has Primal Might, the game is pretty much over for us. Unless, of course, we get Lurrus and we get our No Priest back. So a little bit of mana hiccups so far. Our opponent attacks with everything, which is not a concern. He does cast Charming Prince. He will probably remove Skyclave Apparition, donate our little 1/1 spirit back. Oh, okay, so he Glass Caskets our token. And at the end of the turn, Skyclave Apparition will capture our No Priest Oblivion. So that was a pretty nasty turn for our opponent. We don't even have anything to lure us back up. So now we're forced to just cast our Lurrus and call it a day. And of course our opponent is drawing perfect again. It's not over yet. Ooh, we do draw a plane, so it is not over yet. We get our Baneslayer Angel out. It can gain some pretty nasty life here. Nasty, nasty amounts of life. It is safe from Skyclave Apparition. Looks like our opponent has Primal Might, though. Yorion Sky Nomad. Of course, that's going to bounce the Elspeth Conquers Death, and our opponent's perfect card draw continues to screw us over. It's unbelievable. Look at this. We had to mulligan. We were mana screwed a little bit. Well, okay, I wouldn't say mana screwed. I guess we just got mana stuck for one turn. But our opponent just drew perfectly. Just absolutely perfect. Perfect. We draw a land. We scry into a Hushbringer, which would actually help. So let's see if our Hushbringer can turn this around for us. Our Hushbringer is very hard to deal with, and we do have snapbacks that we can use to murder one of their creatures next turn. Unfortunately, our opponent is threatening 10 damage here, nothing I can do. If I block, I'm almost certainly going to lose. If my opponent has another glass casket here, it's over. Wicked Wolf gets stomped by Hushbringer, fortunately. It doesn't have any food to eat, so let's take a look at what's coming up next. We have a Luminarch Aspirant. That's excellent. We can mutate the snapbacks, but then Skyclave Apparition will just come back. But if we have Hushbringer, it should stomp the trigger. We can't get rid of Yorion just yet. So what do I care more about? A 3/3. I can get a 3/3 token back. It doesn't look like he has a source for food. So maybe I will kill his Skyclave Apparition. Oh, but then it'll just come back and eat the token, so that seems pretty silly. Actually, I suppose I will have to kill the Wicked Wolf. If I attack now, I can deal another 6 damage and be at 16 life. 16 life seems like a pretty good spot to be, so I will attack. Especially if he has a way to get rid of my snapbacks. If he gets rid of my snapbacks, I'm a goner anyway. So I might as well go for the attack. Hopefully the life gain can help us win here. Our secret weapon is coming out. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough though. Our opponent attacks with everything. Skyclave Apparition comes out, does not do anything. Skyclave Apparition number 2 comes out, does not do anything. And unfortunately for our opponent, we do draw our Luminarch Aspirant. We get the 1/1 counter. And we attack for lethal! Woo! That's how you do it! That's the secret weapon! Alright, what a way to end today. You saw it here. Our secret weapon came out last minute with some help from Luminarch Aspirant. Saves the day, gets us the 4th win, and puts us back to exactly where we started at the beginning of today. Plat 4, oh no, oh yeah, Plat 4 3 pips. We are right back where we started. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming back. Check out my drafting series. I started that. If you liked what you saw and you're on YouTube, please like and or subscribe. Ring it if you feel it. If you're on Twitch, follow me on Twitch. And thank you for your time. And if you have any questions or comments, I really appreciate it. I'm just starting out. I'm learning all of this. I'd like to hear what you think. See you next time.